What's good, everybody? What's happening? What's happening? Who's on? Who's on? No, the franchise is here. Franchise, what's happening, man? Who else we have on here? And can you guys hear me okay? Let me know if you can hear me. We're good to go. I got the River Ave merch right here, rocking it today. And trying to represent daily. What's happening, my man? Paris, hey, hey, hey. Sound is working good, man. How long did that video take to make? Thank you, Daily. It took a while. I mean, I started working on it a couple months ago, but my actual predictions kind of evolved, and a lot of them changed. Some of them did not. But the PowerPoint presentation itself took a couple hours because I had to figure out how to get it converted over to MP4 and stuff like that with the format on the Mac that I have. It was tougher than I thought. Luckily, I had my wife helping me, so I have a big thank you to her. But that was actually the first PowerPoint presentation I've ever done on YouTube. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Jared, what's happening? I appreciate it, franchise. I had a couple of people asking me if I actually am going to be selling merch. So I'm curious to know who might be interested in merch. I already started looking into it. I actually have a good friend who makes T-shirts. So if I get enough interest, I'll put out a couple of T-shirts or something if people are interested in them. Your wife dude, our wives make everything better, man. I don't know about you. My wife makes me better and makes everything better. My wife and 2 daughters. I have a bunch of girl power in my house, so I have 0 power. So, but it's all good. It's all good. Jeffrey, what's good, man? What is good, baby? What's happening? You know what I mean? The predictions came out, Zach. They came out today. This morning, the prediction video popped. So definitely take a look at it. And I put out a whole bunch of predictions. It's 20 plus minutes, but I think it's worth the time. And it's actually my first PowerPoint presentation. One of the main reasons I did it that way is so that it wouldn't pop off the screen and then you would know it, like you forget about it. You'd see it for a couple of minutes until the page changed. You'd be able to look at it multiple times, which would be kind of easier to digest. So, but go take a look at it, Zach. I think you'll enjoy it. And again, you got your notebook franchise. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like, if you haven't seen the predictions video, it did pop out this morning. We can go over as much of it as you want right now. And I want to get your predictions. I want to know what you think. I tend to, if you guys don't know me by now, I tend to think outside the box a little bit. I generally don't follow what the popular opinion's doing and what everybody else is doing. That's not the way I operate. I want to be different. And that's one reason I hope you guys, gals, enjoy this channel because it's a little bit different. So, but I'm going to keep it real all the time. So, you go check Zach. I think you'll like it, man. We'll still be on. So if you can watch the whole thing, come right back on. We'll still be on. I think Story's probably the most viable option between Correa and Seager, in my opinion. But he's generally, I don't think they're going to wind up with Andrelton Simmons now after the things that Cashman have said. And honestly, Story seems to me it still leaves money for them to invest in other areas. If they do acquire Olsen somehow in a trade, the cost of Olsen and Seager combined with the entire contract is going to cost less than Corey Seager himself. And it's going to cost a hell of a lot less than Carlos Correa himself. So it's kind of the way I'm positioning it too. Story's still solid. He's still young. He's still good, but he's not going to cost 8 or 10 years. They can get him for 5 probably, and he'll still have money to address other areas. So that to me is a better midline option. He's more athletic than the two of these guys too. He can play, he can move to a different position, and he won't block Volpe. He won't block Oswald Peraza if he's still here, or Oswaldo Cabrera. That's the other thing I like about him too. It makes it easier to move somebody like a Gio if they want to call up a Volpe. So that's the way I see it too. And he does seem like the most, kind of more of a Yankee move too. A lot of folks wanted us to get Story at the deadline. He's still good. He's an elite defender, and he's very athletic. So I like those things. And again, he's a good clubhouse dude too. I think he'd be a good fit. As much as, Correa would be the sexy move. Seager tends to be the move that everybody wants because he's lefty. The other one's Correa or Seager. Seager, I think, is probably going to go to Texas. I think they're going to make a big expenditure, and that's where I haven't predicted to go. Correa, I haven't predicted to the Phillies because they have Dave Dombrowski. He's not afraid to spend, and he wants to put another superstar up with Bryce Harper. They could terrorize pitchers. So the Yankees have to go past the luxury tax this year. They have to, Daily. They most have to. Well, exactly, franchise. And the front office, some of them, I think what I'm hearing is some of them do, some of them don't love Seager, Ryan. So I know a bunch of them like Story too. So it's going to be, and I get Story, I think is going to cost half of what Seager's going to cost. So that's another option. And he's not as injury prone as Seager is too. So they got Seager, they get Seager, I'd be fine. But I think, Story would probably be a better option at this point. Craig, I'm doing great, man. How you doing, buddy? Welcome, man. 13 million over, so I could easily see an expensive 1 or 2 year deal. We could. I don't think Scherzer's going to be here. I think he's going to go back to the Dodgers, and I think Kershaw's going to go back to the Dodgers because I do not think Trevor Bauer is going to be back there. I think he's too toxic for them right now, and I think he'll be. I don't think they're going to bring him back. So I really think. Again, I could be wrong, but I think they're going to re-sign Kershaw. It's just logical. And Scherzer, they traded away too much to let him walk. They really did. So, yes, I think Scherzer gets locked up for 2 years. I think him and Kershaw both get locked up for 2 years at big money. I think Kershaw's probably going to get $25 million a year at this point. Scherzer's going to get close to 40 a year, I think, and he's still like top 3 in baseball. So at 37, and again, yes, Story's fast, but he could lead off as well. So that's another option too. He's athletic, he's fast, and so it brings that dynamic to the team that they don't currently have. They have it, but they're not using the players that have the skill set. The Greg Allens, the Tim McCastro, even though he got hurt, they don't use Tyler Wade enough. He's super fast. And then they don't use Greg Allen. He's super fast. And I know some people think that he's not, an on-base percentage machine. He did get on base for 417 last year. So, and we don't need him to be a power guy to hit triples and home runs and stuff like that. If he gets on base, whether it's a base hit or a walk, the guys behind him can drive him in. And it's the difference between having somebody that's fast at leadoff who can go from first to home on a double than somebody who's slow, which the majority of the team is, who has to stay at third. And that's one of the Yankees' problems, leaving runners on base. They were ranked 26th out of 30 in Major League Baseball, leaving guys on base. That is dreadful. Dreadful. So that's another reason why I like Greg Allen. Michael, I appreciate it, man. I think the Cubs are going to spend moderately. Good to hear, Craig. I think they'll spend moderately. I think they'll bring in some role players. That's why I think teams like the Tigers are going to go for it. They're going to go for Correa and some other guys, but they're so far away from competing right now. I think Correa is going to go elsewhere with a better chance to win on a more regular basis. But that said, I think they'll bring in more role players, and teams that have good role players tend to get better. I think the Marlins are going to load up on role players too, and the Orioles will probably load up as well on role players. I don't think any superstar is going to go to any of those teams just yet. So I do see teams like that getting a bunch of role players. So he's Story's right-handed, but if somehow the Yankees trade for a Matt Olson, you got that power lefty bat in the lineup right there. So, and I personally don't care if he's righty or lefty. If it's Story, this guy, he can hit righties and lefties, and he's athletic enough to help the defense in the infield. So, but I still think they need to, have an elite defensive first baseman, no matter what. So, I do think they have to blow past it. I don't see any reason why they would have gotten under the threshold to not spend. This is a very, very star-studded free agent class, and it's going to be bigger than next year. So it makes sense to spend now, and then, they can even go work their way getting back under it next year. They're going to have more money coming off the books. So there's a good chance they could load up on guys now and still be under it next year, reset it again, and then spend. They could do a lot of things. So the flexibility I like, but they have to be smart and they have to be aggressive. And like I said, they have to, in my opinion, they have to act fast and don't play this stupid waiting game and miss out on so many opportunities, because people like Toronto are not going to wait. Tampa Bay, Boston, they're not going to wait. They're going to keep working to get better. Phillies are going to keep working to get better. Teams like that. Brewers, they're going to keep getting guys. So these guys are going to be really hard to beat. So Candelario is a good trade option. Somebody made a great, and I forgot about him, and I have it right here. I saved it. A trade with Oakland. Quinn Jackus. He actually a trade from Matt Olson and Sean Murphy, who is a pre-arb catcher for the A's. He's 26 years old. He's a solid player. He would be a good fit as well. I would like Olson and Manea, or Olson and Frankie Montez, but Olson and Jake and Murphy would be phenomenal. And plus, at that point, would allow them to move on and DFA Gary Sanchez, because he would have his obvious replacement for several years. So that would be a phenomenal trade too. Erod could be your value on number 4. He could. I actually have him. I don't know if you saw the video. I'll go over some of the predictions for those that haven't seen it. But I had him going to Texas at Eduardo Rodriguez. Guys like Brad Hand, I had him going to Baltimore, but I could see him going to St. Louis. I had some people mention St. Louis. Very, very possible. And it could be a good fit. Let's see. Corey Kluber, I have him going to Minnesota. Nick Castellanos, I have him going to Washington. I would watch out for what they need to build around Juan Soto right now. He's young, and they're going to have to lock him up, but they're going to need to build the pieces around him to get that offense going again, because they traded like half the team at the deadline. So, Aaron Bummer would be a good – yeah, I would like Bummer. Olsen would be phenomenal. Scherzer would be nice. If you can get him, it would be nice, but it's going to cost a boatload of money. Gallo and Olsen as a left-handed bats. Second ace behind Cole has to happen. Absolutely has to happen. Somebody to take the pressure off of Cole. It can't be Cole absorbing the whole entire pressure. He's already been made the face of Spider Tech, even though everybody was using it. Who the hell's the face of Pine Tars? It's still George Brett. Like, it's ridiculous at this point. So, Frazier, Paris, unfortunately, I think my opinion is probably Clint Frazier and maybe even Miguel Andujar might be DFA to save money, because they have to clear up a few roster spots to protect guys in November from the 40-man roster from the Rule 5 draft. So they have to put them on the 40-man to protect them from the Rule 5 draft. And those are obvious, guys. They haven't been healthy for a couple years. They have zero trade value, and they're probably going to DFA these guys and release them and get them off the roster so that they can add other kids to protect. But I could be wrong there. I could be wrong. Peraza. Well, Peraza, that's why I think, to me, he's a more – between him and Oswaldo Cabrera and Anthony Volpe, Peraza teams to me to be the most tradable in a blockbuster for like a Matt Olson. If you can get Matt Olson and Sean Murphy, like, that's a monster trade. You definitely give Voit and you give Peraza and you give other pieces too. We have a bunch of guys up the middle. Peraza's the one that's the most major league ready, but he doesn't have as high a ceiling offensively as Cabrera and Olson do. So even though he's solid, he's got an elite defender and an elite, transitional thrower from the shortstop position. He, to me, seems to be the most movable. No doubt, Quinn. That was a really great idea. A really great idea. Shout out to Quinn Jackas, man, for that trade idea. Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy's a fantastic option to add in a blockbuster trade with Matt Olson. I mean, the day free agency starts, if I were Cashman, I'd be calling Oakland immediately. But who knows if they're going to do that. Robbie Ray, I think, he being surrounded by, being not having to be the number one guy, I think he'd be good. He's made some adjustments. He got a hell of a lot better this year. So is Carlos Rodon, but those are the two top guys. I mean, personally, and I've said this, I think Ray has to be one of the two additions, not the only addition. Ray and Luis Castillo, or Ray and someone else in a trade, or if you're able to somehow get Frankie Montez or Sean Manaea, that's the other guy to complement Ray. They need more depth in the starting rotation. It can't just be Cole, Ray, and then we don't know. So, because I'm not convinced that Nestor Cortez is going to be a long-term starter yet, because he had trouble going past 4 innings the second half of the season. He got gassed, so he might be more suited to be long relief. I do not think it's a good idea to throw Luis Severino in the rotation. I would still keep him in the bullpen and let him build up. And if he's ready, then go there. Jameson Towns going to miss 5 months. So we have holes. I mean, I like Jordan Montgomery. He should be in the rotation. But I'm of the opinion they need to add 2 starters, no matter what. They always have injuries in the starting rotation, Yankees, every single year. Every year. So Wilson Contreras is definitely making buzz, Miguel. He's a viable option too. I mean, I would love to get Sean Murphy, but, if they can get Wilson Contreras, I would not be offended at all. He's a better catcher than Gary Sanchez. And at this point, we have enough offense to move Gary Sanchez or to DFA him if we got somebody like Wilson Contreras, because he makes the pitchers better, starting and relief. So, and we need a catcher like that. You've had several guys who didn't want to throw to Sanchez. That's a huge problem. So, I think the new Padres, that was a great move. He's a veteran. He's done a lot with the little in Oakland. And I think he's going to be the right guy to kind of, get that ship aboard there. And he gets players to play. He gets superstars to play. And I think, that's what I think too. The rumor is that, the A's might be cleaning house a little bit more that Melvin has left because he was unhappy in Oakland. So that could make players like Sean Murphy and some of these other guys, Frankie Montas, available. And the A's might just go through a total rebuild here and just get boatloads of prospects. They do that all the time anyway. So this might just accelerate it. But I think he's a good fit for San Diego. I really do. Any of those are championship quality. Call me crazy, but I don't think we are. I don't think we need a true number one. More middle guys? You mean middle relief guys? I don't know. Wicked 50. I would definitely bring in. I get what you're saying, man. I get what you're saying. I do think the pressure got to Cole a little bit this year. That and the fact is, the leaders of the team didn't back him up. Judge didn't back him up. Everybody calls him the captain. Where was Judge? Nowhere. No one else backed him up. They hung him out to dry. And so did everybody else. And everybody else was ignored with this stupid spider tag thing, except for Gerrit Cole. And to me, he had a couple of off games after, he stopped using it, but he came back and was fine. And he came down with COVID and a little bit of a hamstring thing, but that's in the past now. With all that stuff and the adjustment, he's still going to be top 2 in the Cy Young. So he's as good as it gets. And I think he'll be fine. I just think he needs a number 2, a legitimate number 2 behind him to ease the load off him, so he's not having to carry the load of the whole rotation like he did the first half of this year. So that was before Nestor came out of nowhere and Tyon got hot. Like, it was just Cole, and then starters not going past 3 innings, which wore out a lot of our relievers, and a lot of them were gassed at the end of the year. So that was the other problem. We need guys who can go distance here, aside from Cole. What we got here? Torres, Voit, and prospects to Atlanta for Dansby, Swanson, Ian Anderson. I mean, that would be insane. I don't know if Atlanta would be up for that, but these guys are contributing big time in the World Series. I mean, we'd have to give some seriously top prospects. If Atlanta was ever in the mood for something like that, I would consider a trade like that. Dansby here and Ian Anderson. I wouldn't be offended with those guys here. Well, Scungio, I think the first 2 weeks of the offseason is really going to determine whether Sanchez is going to be here or not. I think pretty much everybody wants the Yankees to move on from him. And Cashman offered him praise, but he did not offer a long-term commitment. He didn't say he was going to be our guy next year in 2022. So I do think he's looking. And if he gets the right guy, they might move on from him, but he cannot be afraid to be bold. One of his problems is he holds on to these prospects thinking he overvalues a whole bunch of them, and then he never admits, when he makes a mistake. So he hamstrings himself, and he hamstrings the team so much. We have enough guys up the middle to move a Peraza, to get a big piece in return. They cannot be afraid to move certain guys to get upgrades that are significant. He can't. That's what all the other top teams do this on a regular basis. The Yankees do not. Okay, Joey Gallo. They should have gotten Adam Frazier. I like Joey Gallo, and I hope he plays well next year. But they should have gotten Adam Frazier. He would have been a better fit and would have done more here than Joey Gallo did, and even Rizzo. But that's what I mean. He can't be afraid to make bold moves, man. Yankees have $135 million commitment to players under contract. Yeah, and that's not including arbitration guys and all that stuff. So they're up pretty high. Closer to, you're a little under 200 altogether, Alan. But yeah, 135 is like the top 5 guys together, which is completely insane. But they had either way. They have to. If I were them, my opinion is they have to go with a freaking luxury tax. They have to spend it. And I've said this before. They're the richest team in baseball by a mile. And the last time they had the highest payroll was 2013. This is 8 years running now. They've gotten their asses kicked. There's only been 2 teams that have had a higher payroll on them, Boston and the Dodgers. Boston has won multiple World Series, and the Dodgers have won the World Series last year, so and they're competitive every single year. So, I didn't propose Chop the Braves trading Swanson. I don't think they will, but would I take him? I would be interested in him. Yeah. But again, he's a superstar now. He's a budding superstar. You never know. I mean, crazy things happen. So I wouldn't rule out anything, honestly. So we don't know, Miguel, if a universal DH is a sure thing next season yet. I mean, December 1st, the CBA expires. So, December 2nd, excuse me. They have to have it all. This is part of what's being negotiated right now as to what, this and the salary cap floor and all these things. In my perfect world, in my fantasy world, and I know it'll never happen, but you know what I would like? I would like a team opt-out. So if they sign somebody with a 10-year contract and he just sucks after 3 or 4 years, the team should be able to opt out from the contract. Why should the players be the only ones be able to opt out of the contracts? I don't think it's fair for the Yankees, for a team like the Yankees to have to pay the last 4 years of Ellsbury's contract when he's not even playing. I think it's total crap. So, and again, I know it's far-fetched, but I would have a team opt out in a minute. That'll light a fire under some players' asses. Well, his hamstring really hurt him. I mean, it was a combination of things, Daily. COVID, too. COVID saps your stamina. So I don't know that he had much time to get back up rolling. It sapped a lot of players. It took all the guys that had COVID took a while to come back and kind of get into a groove again. So, and a lot of them also suffered, some other injuries too. GL, and it happened to a couple of people. But Cole wipes you out. I mean, COVID wipes people out differently. But I think Cole will be fine. He's a gamer. He's a bulldog. You brought him here to be the ace. He's been the ace for the past 2 years. Hasn't even been close. And, but he also has to be, he's got to deal with the criticism and all that stuff. He can come to the Yankees. He's part of the, and I said this in my free agent video too. Right now, it feels like the Bronx Country Club. We need to get back to the Bronx Hill. And, we need other players to help us get there. But we need some of the current players that we have to wake up and start playing and start hustling and do these things. And I don't question Cole's desire. I don't question his hustle. He's always out there, and he throws him. He plays until he's hurt and he can't play anymore. So some of these other guys don't do that, and that's where I think bringing in somebody as Showalter would be a perfect bench coach for Aaron Boone if he would consider it. He'd be a guy to light a fire under people's asses if he doesn't take a managerial job. Dom Nunez. Who's Dom Nunez, Quinn? Boston outclassed the Yankees 100%. They did with young kids. They got out-managed, out-hustled. I mean, holding on, this is the problem. Like, Yankees hold on to guys too long, and they don't, they don't give them opportunities, and they miss options. Like I said, one team's trash. Yankees trash could be someone else's treasure, and they've done it way too many times. And thank you, Brian. I try to keep a realistic approach to judge trades. I mean, no one wants to think about it. I get hammered all the time. But the fact is, and the reason why I had so many prospects in this trades is because the teams that I propose trading with them have top farm systems. So we get elite prospects back. But the goal is to clear Judge's salary, too. He's going to make $17.8 million this year in arbitration. That's the arbitration figure right now. It might be more. And then he's probably going to go to $30 to $35 million per year at the age of 31. So, and that's why I keep saying the Yankees need to make their best offer now if they want to lock him up. And if he turns it down, you trade him immediately. You move on. You get elite prospects, and that's it. And again, the salary relief will allow them to sign somebody or go after somebody like Starling Marte or someone like that to replace his offense. I don't want to be paying, give him an 8-year deal, and then the last 5 years are going to be injury prone. And he's going to be that's another Jacoby Ellsbury nightmare waiting to happen. I hope it doesn't, but he's been out of his 6 years here, his 5 years here, 2.5 of them have been injury ridden. So I worry about that. So, and I'm not even a GM, but I worry about that freaking thing. So, yeah, franchise. Judge is an A player, but who are we going to get from San Diego? Like my Dodgers proposal with Judge had all major league players, all of them. The prospects one, the heavy one, were with the Padres and the Mariners. Who are we going to get from the Padres that we would actually want? You don't want Eric Hosmer. Who could we get for Judge from the Padres or from the Mariners? They're looking to add, so they're not going to give us major league players, but they have top four farms. That's where we get that's where we get the value in these trades. And that's what I mean, franchise. Like these teams that feel like they're one move away, they're not going to give away major league players to get Judge. They're not going to do that. And it was very unlikely. So while we have Judge, yeah, we ride or die, most definitely. But, there's no guarantee he's going to re-sign. Like I said, too, if the Yankees give him 210 and he turns it down, someone else offers him 260, he's going to go to the 260, no matter where it is. Cincinnati, Cleveland, Colorado, it doesn't matter. Oh, I've always wanted to be here. He's going to put on the happy face. He's going to go where the money is. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And why would he not? This is his one chance to cash in. He's not going to leave 40, 50, 60 million on the table to stay in with the Yankees. There's no way in hell he's going to do that. Who would? There's no way. And that's what I mean. Like, this is why it's a good idea to do it now, because this is the only time that they can have a win-win scenario. If they trade him and get a boatload of good value back, win-win. If they keep him and he plays well, win-win. But this is the only offseason they're in a position to do that, to win either way. Next year, automatically you lose one. You use the trade option. And what if he walks? You get nobody. You give him a qualifying offer and he turns it down. That's obvious. But if he goes somewhere, that's all you get. A conditional draft pick. That's it. For Aaron Judge? What the no way. No. Though they're going to go over daily. I'm of the opinion they're going to go over. So, and keep in mind, Odor's salary is, aside from the $500,000 minimum, is completely paid for by Texas. Texas is paying, and I think they're paying, if I remember correctly, all of Gallo's too. So that should not be included in these numbers, and I think sometimes it is. Could have gotten Adam Duvall in the offseason. Yeah, I mean, these like, exactly, Jeffrey, exactly. Personally, after what Gardner did, I don't want him back next year. So I just don't. It may have been meant well, but it was a poorly timed joke, and he made his teammate look like a complete jackass in front of everybody. And no bueno. That is part. It could be part of the reason why the clubhouse was toxic this year. Not good, man. Not good. So, team opt-outs, existing club options. Oh, that's an option. I'm talking. That's afterward. Like, I'm talking about, like, if you give an 8-year contract to a player, opting out year 3 or year 4. Because they don't get generally 4 years and then 4 options. They'll generally get the 8-year contract or a 7-year and then an option at the end of that long batch of contract. I'm talking about smack dab in the middle of a contract like the players get. Cole has an opt-out after 2024. So halfway through his contract. Bryce Harper had opt-outs too. Like, that's what I mean. I would rather give a player an opt-out over a no trade clause. But I think, and again, it's not going to happen, but teams should be able to have if they're paying a boatload of money for somebody who's stinking up the place, they should be able to opt out of that instead of paying them this boatload of money and having them do absolutely nothing for the next 4 or 5 years. I think that's baloney. I think it should be fair on both sides. But again, the opt-out, maybe it's once every 3 years or whatever, or something like that. That should be, I think it would be a good idea to have something like that. Hot take: Gleyber, Medina, Garcia, and Urshela for Olsen and Kemp. Kemp, maybe. I would rather go for Sean Murphy, the catcher. Brian, can you swap out Kemp for Murphy? Gleyber, Luis Medina, Davy Garcia, and Gio Urshela. Olsen and Murphy, I would do that trade for. Kemp, I think, he's not a need here. Olsen's definitely a need here, but so is Sean Murphy. He would definitely be a need. He's a controllable catcher for a bunch of years. Toss out another $300 million. The Phils, they have Dave Dombrowski now, who's their new GM, and he is known for spending wildly and making big trades. So he took over as GM last year. I can see them giving out another $300 million contract. I really can. I can. And this is the thing, like, not seeing the Philadelphia, like, I get it, Chop. And this is what I mean. Like, my trades tend to be different. Like, you have so many people saying Detroit just because somebody from, John Heyman said it or whatever. Like, I don't do that. I think I go by where I think he's the best fit, where I think he could do some damage, where who's the GM and who's willing to spend, who has the money
Dombrowski, he was the architect of the Boston Red Sox a couple years ago when they got Chris Sale and these guys that took them to the World Series. So there's going to be not even half a handful of teams who are going to be able to give him a $300 million contract. Detroit, and even though AJ Hinch is there, they're nowhere near from competing anytime soon. Philadelphia is. So he could go back to Houston, but there's a very few teams that are going to give that type of money to him. So at the end of the day, when I break down those teams, Philadelphia seems to me to be the more logical option. That's kind of how I break it down, Chop. And I do see them because Dombrowski, he's not afraid to spend other people's money. So I think Gio has a good chance of being traded, Miguel. I do. Rocky's left-handed bat. Oh, yeah. Their catcher's solid. Yeah, you can't win every move. Like another team's trash isn't like, the Yankees cashed in on Clay Holmes. Big time. Wandy, Joely won't be back. I mean, I don't think they're going to exercise his option, so he'll be a free agent. Wandy has another year. Holmes is controlled for like 3 more years, I think, or two or 3 more seasons. So that was a huge find for the Yankees. Again, it happens. Just like, Francisco Cervelli, they got rid of him, and he was great in Pittsburgh and the other teams. Like, they did this for a bunch of years. Jay Buhner, and then he went over to Seattle, became a Yankee killer. Like, there's so many times the Yankees have done this and just got rid of him. Garrett Whitlock, they didn't protect him last year from the Rule 5 draft, and Boston picked him up, and he was pivotal this season for them. He was huge for them. So it happens, unfortunately. Zach, thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. Let me know what you think, your thoughts. And I try to keep my judge thoughts rational. I mean, I appreciate that, Chop. And thank you again, Zach. I try to keep him rational. And again, I'm thinking team, not just Judge. He's not the entire team, And I know people say that, Cole hasn't delivered us a championship in 2 years. Well, Judge hasn't delivered us one either in 5. So I look at the flip side too. And, again, the team is not going to collapse if they trade Judge. It's not going to happen. And again, if they replace him, they get a boatload of prospects in return, maybe one major league player, but then they use it and go get somebody like a Starling Marte or somebody like that. It's not going to be much of a drop-off. Plus, Starling Marte's top 5 in major leagues every year in stolen bases, too. And he won't cost $250 million, $270, $280 million. Judge will. And again, I know the Judge's chambers and this and that, but again, if it was Judge if he was 27, I would have locked him up. But he's going to be 31 at the start of his contract. That's a huge difference. Huge difference. So again, that's the way I look at it. I look at it different than most other people do, which is, and everybody else's perspective is welcome too. But that's just the way I look at it. So, and again, Judge is, like you said, Alan, too, Judge is a 232 postseason hitter. Okay. Stanton is 290. 290. So it's a huge difference between the two. Oh, so Craig, you want to, okay. So I don't know if you saw the video, but I'll go through it quickly. Eduardo Rodriguez, I'm going to Texas. Archie Bradley to the Mets. Brad Hand, Baltimore. Justin Verlander, I have him accepting the qualifying offer to Houston and staying there. At this point, Zach Davies, I have him going Cincinnati. Michael Wacha, I have him going to Kansas City. I think they're going to get a few guys too. They have a young nucleus over there. Aaron Sanchez to Texas. Corey Kluber to Minnesota. Michael Pineda to Baltimore. So again, several role type players. Dylan Bundy, young pitcher, to Miami. Steven Matz to Detroit. Nick Castellanos to Washington. Brandon Belt, one of my surprising moves, going from San Francisco to Texas. Kyle Seager, Corey's brother over in Seattle, is going to go to Detroit. Corey Knebel, bullpen guy, he's going to go to Philly. Michael Lorenzen from the Reds, I think he's going to go to Baltimore. He's being one of them. I think they're going to bring in 2 pitchers. They need a couple guys to complement John Means and give him more protection to help guys like Cedric Mullins. And they just need more balance over there. So I have him bringing in a couple. Racel Iglesias, I have him going to the Mets. They need a couple of relievers. He might get more than this. I have him at 3 years, $42 million. That's 14 per year. So that's pretty good. And Kenley Jansen, I have him going to Philly also. So him and Corey Knebel, 2 Dodgers relievers going to Philly. So Kendall Graveman, who was with the Astros now, who was traded from Seattle, I have him coming to the Yankees. Noah Syndergaard, if he does not accept the qualifying offer, I have him going to St. Louis. If he does, then obviously he stays with the Mets. John Gray, started from the Rockies. I have him going to Houston. Marcus Stroman, I have him going to Milwaukee to add to Brandon Woodruff and Corbin Burns to be like a number 3 over there. I think they're going to be quietly aggressive this offseason because they want to get to that next step. Max Scherzer, I have him staying with the Dodgers. It just makes too much sense. Michael Conforto, I have him going to San Francisco to replace Chris Bryant, who won't be coming back. You'll know where in a few. Clayton Kershaw, I have him coming back to the Dodgers. Robbie Ray, I have him coming to the Yankees. Carlos Rodon, I have him replacing Ray in Toronto. Kevin Gausman from the Giants, I have him coming to the Los Angeles Angels. Nelson Cruz, I have him going to Toronto, but if the National League adopts the DH, I can see him going over to Milwaukee or Miami or something like that to help with those teams. Jorge Soler, I have him going to Miami. Starling Marte, Cleveland, 4 years, $100 million. Chris Taylor from the Dodgers, I have him going to the Angels. Jurickson Profar, I have the Padres moving on. I have him going to Seattle, being one of their investments, one of their guys. Kyle Schwarber, I have him leaving Boston and going to Oakland, meaning I do have them moving Matt Olson. Schwarber will replace him at first base. He'll be cheaper than Olson. Jose Iglesias, I have him going to the Cubs. Carlos Correa, Phillies. Corey Seager, Texas Rangers. Javi Baez, I have him coming back to the Mets. Andrelton Simmons, Detroit. Trevor Story, Yankees. Eduardo Escobar, super utility guy, I have him going to Miami. Chris Bryant, I have him going to Toronto to replace Marcus Semien, who will be going to Seattle. Seattle's going to invest. They're going to be quietly aggressive. Toronto's going to be loudly aggressive. Anthony Rizzo, Boston, replacing Kyle Schwarber. That's going to be a gut punch for a lot of Yankees fans. Freddie Freeman coming back to the Braves. Mike Zunino staying in Tampa, exercising the team option. And Buster Posey, I have him staying in San Francisco for 3 years. And if the National League adopts the DH, he'll move over to DH, and then they'll bring up Joey Bart to start catching. So that's my list right there. You guys let me know what you think. Let's get into it. Let me know what you think, Greg. Yeah, I mean, Judge is going to make endorsement money too in New York. Like, he'll make all kinds of layers of money if he stays franchise. No doubt about it. Winker from the Reds will be phenomenal here. A lot of power. Solid outfield. But we have Gallo right now, so I don't see the point. You know, they're going to have to move Gallo in order to get a guy like that. This is Cashman's last year, so he's going to go over and spend, and he's going to be as aggressive as possible if he wants to come back. But I still see him coming back, even if they, you know, he's Hal's boy. So, and hire Buck Showalter. I would hire Buck Showalter as a bench coach like that, Quinn. Immediately, brother. Immediately. Stanton had an opt-out, but he turned it off. He turned it down. So he's here for 6 more years, Stanton. He's 6 more years. Yep. Mitch Garver is our catcher. Maybe, but I think they need to do better than that. I think the Yankees need to upgrade from Sanchez. Moving Gio in a trade to Detroit. Who are you getting back, franchise? That's intriguing. Saw the video, Craig. What'd you think, man? What'd you think, bud? Got a feeling these shortstops are, I think, going to wait until. Yeah, I think so too. I think free agents. I mean, yeah, I think they're going to find out what happens with the collective bargaining agreement too, because it might cap some teams and limit their options. So I'm curious. This is not going to be a salary cap in baseball, so the union will never allow that to happen. Yeah, I mean, Lindor thankfully got traded, but the Indians waited too long to trade him. Yan Gomes, but he's older. Yan Gomes, I think he's like 33 or 34. Yankees need a long-term option. They don't have any in the minor leagues. That's obvious. That are an obvious option. They don't. That's why I keep proposing trades with big-time catching prospects. Robbie Way will be a flop. I don't know, Brian. I mean, I hope not. But who else? They have to bring in two starters, or at least one. But they got to. I mean, I think they got to bring in two. Who are they going to bring in? Who are they going to bring in? Is the question. It does sting Quinn, but I think it's more logical at this point. He wants to win. Boston's closer to winning than the Yankees, and but again, if they get Matt Olson, I mean, all is forgiven. I mean, Stroman, I have going to the Brewers, Quinn. Sorry, yeah. How about Stroman to the Cubs? I mean, it's possible. It's possible. Pair him with Kyle Hendricks if they don't trade him. It's possible to the Cubs. I just think the Cubs are nowhere near competing either. I think Stroman wants to win a title and contribute to one. So I think that the Brewers make a more logical option for him, in my opinion. So that's kind of my logic behind it. Yeah, they made some adjustments when he came to Toronto too, guys. But who's your option? Who do you think they should bring in? They have to bring in. I mean, in my opinion, they need two starters. I mean, they could trade for two. Fine. I would love to trade for Manaea and Luis Castillo. I'd be all over that, and not have to spend $100+ million on Ray. I would do that like that. No. Other free agent. I mean, there's a boatload. There's like 100+ more. So I mean, there a bunch of them are going to go to teams, other teams. I wanted to give like my most 50 notable guys. But there's going to be a lot of other guys that go places. And maybe I'll do another video on the remaining free agents predictions on that. That's going to take me a little while to do. And again, Brian, I don't think we don't need Ray to come over here and win the Cy Young again, like stuff like that. We just need consistency from a starter. So, we need consistency from more starters. And Ray will give them length. And again, he's good from the left-handed side. He helps neutralize left-handed bats, which helps in that short porch in Yankee Stadium. So, and he won't have to be the number one here. So the pressure won't be as significant. But if you guys don't like Ray, who would you bring in? JD Martinez is a possibility. Not at this point, Lorenzo. I think he's a little older. Where would we use him? I mean, we need to keep that DH spot open for rotating for Gallo and Stanton and Judge and other guys and even DJ. So it's a good hitter, but I don't even know how they would use him, Lorenzo. That's a couple years ago. I think they should have signed him in free agency, but they didn't. But he would have been great, man. He really would have. What moves will the Yankees make? Well, I mean, I have them in my predictions. I have them bringing in Trevor Story. I have them bringing in Robbie Ray, and I have them bringing in Kendall Gausman, big time reliever, frontline starter, and a new shortstop. I think they'll make some other moves. I could see them making a blockbuster trade with Oakland. I could see them making other trades too. I think Cashman generally makes good trades in the offseason, much better than he does at the deadline. So I do see him bringing in somebody in a trade. I just don't know who. Or it could be a multiplayer trade. Jordan Hickson. Yeah, I don't know if St. Louis will move on from them, but I mean, anytime you get an opportunity to get somebody like that, it's just they're gonna be hard to pry away from their teams. But I totally get that one, Quinn. Ottavino. Man, he just tanked the second half of the year, man. Nathan, I mean, you got a good team over there, man. Die Hard Red Sox. You got a good team, man. So, I mean, it's I'm really curious. I don't think the Red Sox are going to be quiet. I think they'll make moves. I think Tampa's going to make moves. I think Toronto's going to make moves. And with the Yankees are going to have to keep up with them. They're going to have to make moves commensurate with improving their standing, because in my opinion, I've said this before, I think those teams have surpassed the Yankees. Aaron Boone said they've closed the gap. They passed the Yankees. Now the Yankees have to close the gap to these teams. They have the talent, and even Big Papi acknowledged it yesterday, but the chemistry in the clubhouse, they need more gamers, they need more winning type mentalities, and they need more contact hitters and speed and athleticism. So there are guys available to do that, even on the roster already, and they won't utilize them, which is I don't know what the hell they're doing. Gio and Voit to Detroit for Candelario. How many controllable years does Candelario have franchise. When is he a free agent? Because that would be, you're giving him 2 years of Gio and 3 of Voit controllable years. So what's Candelario's situation in terms of free agency? Would I be surprised if they signed Stroman? No, I would not. I mean, he's durable. He's got he's a little bit of a, I don't know, diva attitude or whatever it is. But if he's a gamer, he's a gamer. So apparently he did want to come here at some point. So he's not afraid to voice his opinion. I don't care about that as long as he plays. It's like I never cared really about Clint Freeman. He was immature, but like he voicing his opinion about something. So what? If when he was healthy, he played. So the Red Sox definitely in the second baseman. Who will aim for after 161? Second baseball. Who will they aim after 161? You mean second baseman, Nathan? If that's the, I initially had Marcus Stroman going to Boston. I really did. And would I be surprised if he went there? Not at all. You have him at second. You have Xander Bogaerts at short. That's a deadly combo. So I could see him going to Boston. I do predict that. I just think Seattle's going to be more aggressive in terms of offering him more money, and he just signed with Scott Boras, so to represent him. And Boras is going to take players where the money is. And I think Seattle's going to be paying people this offseason. So they are rich. They're owned. I think the guys that own Seattle are part owners of them. They own Nintendo and they're uber billionaires. So I see them paying big money for people. At least one big investment. Simeon could definitely go to Boston, which would suck to the Yankees. The Yankees have to make multiple counter moves. They take him away from Toronto, but he's still in the East on another team that's better than the Yankees. So that doesn't help the Yankees at all. So Xander's considering his opt out today. Maybe. He's a good player. Marcus Stroman, a pitcher or hitter. Stroman's a pitcher. The starting pitcher. He was with Toronto, and then he got traded to the Mets, and he's been with the Mets. Jeffrey, I know. It's a lot of Red Sox questions, right? A lot of Red Sox questions. Yeah, Stroman's a pitcher, Trey. So, I mean, he's decent, but his career record, he's not earth-shattering. I can't see him getting $100 million. Like, he's 61-60 career, just one game over 500. And he's never won more than 13 games in a season. So I think the contract that I proposed for him was fair. And it was 4 years, 72 months, $18 million per year. Average pitchers are getting $10 million, $12 million a year now. So, he's a little bit better than that. So, but he's no ace. He could come to Boston. So, yeah, it's a lot of Red Sox chatter. Monty had an ERA comparable to Cole. Yeah, Monty was good this year. Monty was really good. I mean, he could be a number 2, but still not enough. Yankees need another starting pitcher or 2. Cole, Monty. If Monty becomes number 2, great, but they still don't have enough pitching depth. Look how many guys get injured on that pitching rotation. We already have one injured. The season's not even here yet. Jameson Taillon is going to miss the entire spring training, the beginning of the season, so it's we're already one starter down. Yeah, Nathan. Amen. Yep, you're right, man. They do need an upgrade at second base, and the Yankees need an upgrade at first base. Shortstop. They need to upgrade starting pitching. They have a lot of things that they need to do. This is a good opportunity this offseason to do it. Particularly with, potential overhaul on the A's. They should make a blockbuster trade with the A's. That would be great. I mean, they can maybe make a blockbuster with the Diamondbacks. You can go after somebody like Zach Gallen and Ketel Marte if you could do that. That'd be a nice one. So, what do I think of Verlander not being in there in the dugout supporting? Yeah, I don't understand what was going on. He was away from them much of the year, Jeffrey. I don't really understand. I heard that he was saying that too. I don't know what the facts are, but and obviously, if they agreed on that, then okay. But like, yeah, I mean, I would think he would have been there supporting the team. But I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, if they offer him a qualifying offer, I think he'll take it. But if they don't, then I could definitely see another team picking him up for a 2-year deal. I could see that pretty easily. I mean, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer no matter what right now. So just like Scherzer. Stroman wanted to, yeah, that's what I heard too. Stroman wanted to come to the Yankees and Toronto trade him to the Mets. So, well, he has an opportunity now to sign with the Yankees. So, if he does, I mean, he won't cost as much as Robbie Ray, that's for sure. So, would I be upset if they got him? No. He was solid with the Mets this past year. He was. Rodon, a free agent, can try to trade for Bassett from Oakland. I think those are very reasonable. Yeah, I mean, it's doable too, Ryan. No. Bassett's a little bit older too. I think he's 32. I mean, if there's any way they can get Sean Manaea, I would go after Manaea in a trade package with Olsen or somebody like that. A's can move a bunch of guys this offseason. So I'm really curious to see. I mean, this could be a major blockbuster trade with the Yankees and a multiplayer trade. And it's doable. If they have what the A's would want long-term prospect-wise, or even, throw in a major league player or two, and they can get Olsen and Manaea and Sean Murphy. Whew. I mean, that would be almost the whole entire offseason for the Yankees right there. Just in that one trade alone. I would still bring in another starter beyond Manaea, but if there's a way they can get Frankie Montas, that would be ridiculous too. He's got 2 more controllable years before he's a free agent. So we'll see. He was their ace on the team this year. So, but Sean Murphy would be a big get for the Yankees. Big get. So, and now's the time to pounce on the A's. And with Melvin leaving and no obvious replacement, it's the time, to take advantage of them if they want to. If they have any interest in moving guys, now's the time to take advantage of it. That's what I would do. The Yankees, I mean, they're in a good position to not only spend, but to make some good trades, because they do have some high-end prospects now that they haven't had in a while at the higher levels. Like Oswald Peraza, he could be a starting shortstop in the major leagues, or starting third baseman or second baseman. He could be, and for somebody, and they could be moved in a trade. Now, I wouldn't be upset if he was that for the Yankees and he played well. Fine, but he's movable because they have Volpe, they have Oswaldo Cabrera. They have guys like this already. When you have multiple guys who can play similar positions, you have an excess there or a luxury, and then you can use one of them in trade. Next team, what team I think is next up in the playoffs these coming years besides the Mariners? I do. Mariners. The Mets and the Phillies. I see them, being in the playoffs in the next year or two. It's still up in the open. I think Kansas City has a shot at moving up too. And I mean, if Chicago loses Rodon, if they lose a couple guys, they're going to move on from Kimbrel too. It sounds like so. There's no guarantee they're going to be up there. I see Cleveland potentially moving up to the postseason race again too. So I could see Cleveland and Kansas City surpassing the White Sox. I could. Don't know if it'll happen, but I could see it. The Royals have a young nucleus of good players. They bring in a couple of solid guys. They're going to be right there. Right there. So, the Red Sox, getting a starter would be a good idea for the Red Sox. That's why I think, again, the Yankees need to be aggressive, and they need to be aggressive early in the season to negate the opportunities for the other teams. That way teams like, damn, I wanted that guy. The Yankees got him. Like, they got to do what they did in 2009 where they jumped all over Sabathia the first night of free agency. And then they went after Burnett like the week after. And then a couple weeks after, they got freaking Teixeira. So, they jumped, got the guys they want, and they won the World Series. And they haven't won one since. So, but that's the type of aggressiveness that I think the Yankees need to have right now. They need to be smart too. But 2 out of those 3 guys panned out well for the Yankees, Teixeira and CeCe. Burnett, not so much. He moved on to the Pirates where he became pretty solid again. But, they won a World Series, and that's, And then CC's gonna. I think he's he's on the fast track for the Hall of Fame now too. So I think he'll go. I think he'll get in with his stats. Buxton State, yeah, Buxton's a possibility. There are other guys I would pick over Buxton, but if they sign Stroman and Correa, then they would definitely be more villain-like. There's no doubt about that, Miguel. No doubt about it. And if they did that, I would be totally fine. I think as much as so many people say, like, they're not going to welcome Correa just like they weren't going to welcome Cole. Once they win a World Series or get to it, like, especially if they win a World Series, all will be forgotten. When Clemens came here, he was the big villain. People hated him. And then he led him to, 2 World Series, and now he's a legend in Yankees. So, like, that's what happens here. That's what happens here. And it's, Frankie Diaz. What's going on, man? How you doing, bro? All is well here. I hope all is well with you, too. Crispy Boy, hot takes Chris Bryant to Seattle. 4 years, $1 there. I think he'll get more than 4 years, Crispy, but Seattle's an intriguing option for him. Intriguing option. We didn't even think about that, Crispy. That's a good one. Racel Iglesias, I would like him for the Yankees as well, but he'd be solid in a lot of places. Nathan, he'd solid a hell of a lot. Frankie Montez is the ace for the A's. So yeah, it's a way you can pry Montez. Like if you can get Montez and Olsen and Sean Murphy, like that's it. I mean, you're gonna have to give up a boatload for that, but it would be worth it. It'll be worth it. I mean, that's the blockbuster to make. That's the blockbuster to make. So, Twins, yeah, I mean, they have to do some reshuffling. They really do, Crispy. The Twins are kind of falling behind now a little bit. If Matt Olson gets traded here, oh God, yeah, I'm getting his jersey too. There's no doubt about it. He would be awesome here. I mean, he really would. Frankie, happy early birthday, man. Shout out to Frankie Diaz here. Tomorrow's his birthday. Happy birthday, brother. Happy birthday. And hope you have a great day. Hope you enjoy it. And what a day to have a birthday on Halloween, man. My favorite holiday. Fantastic, bro. Look at sending we could get. Yeah, I mean, Chris Taylor, I mean, he was in my video as one of the most logical fits for shortstop with the Yankees, Nathan, but Boston can get him too. Boston could get him. He's playoff tested. He's clutch. He's a good contact hitter. I could definitely see him going to Boston. The Yankees signed Rodon, and then Rodon and Story I'd be fine with too. Rodon, I think they can get him for less than Rob would cost to get Robbie, right? So I'd be fine with that too. Olsen reminds me to me, Miguel, Olsen has like a little bit of Don Mattingly in him and Mark Teixeira combined, and a little bit of Giambi too with that power. And he would be just the perfect first baseman here. You bat him third, like, oh God, or fourth. He would be so good here. I would love him. No doubt, Frankie. No doubt. Enjoy your birthday, man. I really enjoy it. Said Kemp just because he's a Zobrist type. Yep, Kent's a jack of all trades. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. He's versatile. Brian, there's no doubt. Yeah, I mean, Kemp is versatility is good, man. To be able to play multiple positions is a good skill set to have, and it's underrated. It really is. But I get, yeah, I totally. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I mean, he's definitely a possibility here. What he did against the Cardinals, yeah, man. Yeah, Nathan. It's just, I mean, Taylor was money, man, against Seattle. I mean, against St. Louis. And he had that walk-off to put him in. It's just ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. But, he's solid. He strikes out a bit. So I think that, he's got to cut that down a tad. But he's a good contact hitter, plays multiple positions. That versatility is valuable for a lot of teams. I mean, I wouldn't even, if the Yankees got Chris Taylor, I wouldn't be upset. No. That's why I think Taylor or Story are probably the most logical fits at this point because they won't be blocking any of their top infield prospects. So, and that's why I see them as more viable than Correa or Seager. They could get Correa, they could get Seager, but Correa alone is not going to do it. I would much rather get Story and Olsen over Correa alone. So, or Seager alone. I think the Yankees have to get a catcher in a trade, Tate, before they decide to move on from Sanchez. I mean, they could non-tender him and save $8 million, but I think that's one of the first moves that they need to make this offseason, in all honesty. Getting a freaking catcher in here. And a decent major league catcher with decent defense. Aside from Kyle Higashioka. And Higashioka's better defensive catcher than Sanchez. Excuse me. But that doesn't say much. I mean, he still has issues with with blocking pitches and stuff like that, and he's suspect at the plate too. He hits some home runs on occasion, pretty much on the games when Cole pitches, but nothing much more than that. Chances the Mets get Chapman, very possible. I mean, they could get Chris Bryant too for third base. Like there's the Mets could make a trade too. Steve Cohen's going to spend. He's going to be bold and move. So he's going to be a ballsy owner. He wants to win. He's made that clear. So he's going to keep making moves until the Mets, get deep into the postseason several times. Olsen, yeah, man. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like story it short, throw it to Olsen. Like it'd be fantastic, man. It'd be fantastic. I mean, I like both of them. I really do. Mets have been in trade. Yeah, the Mets have been in trade rooms for a while. Chapman would be a nice fit for the Mets. And again, I think they would trade, make multiple trades with different teams so they can extract the most prospects in return. They'll get more. They'll get some players too, but, this is an opportunity to get a boatload of prospects for these guys. That's why I propose prospects for Judge too. Because again, there are some teams that don't want to give major league players away because they think Judge is the one piece or can't afford to either. So that's why prospects are valuable, but it depends on where they're coming from. And that's why, my proposals tend to be from the higher ranked teams. Infield and pitching was probably. I think, Allen should be given the shot to beat out Hicks in spring training for the starting finish center field spot. So Hicks has gotten way too big. It looks like he wanted to become the next Hank Aaron or the next, Barry Bonds. And he's slowed down. He's lost, his outfield, his explosiveness as well, his versatility. He's lost a lot of these things since he's got so much bigger. And he doesn't steal bases. He doesn't do a lot of things. So, Greg Gallo represents somebody who can, even if he walks or gets a single, gets on base regularly. With 400 at bats, he'll hit a bunch of doubles, a bunch of singles. He'll have a bunch of walks, and he'll score a bunch of runs at the leadoff spot and play elite defense. So, and he's 28. He's younger than Aaron Hicks. Chris Bryant for right field for the Mets. I could see that too. Basically swapping. Conforto can go to San Francisco. Bryant can come to the Mets. There's a lot of Mets and Red Sox talking now. That's all right. We mix it up here a little bit. Don't want to discriminate. By the way, if you haven't hit the like button, let's get them likes up if you don't mind. I greatly appreciate it. I'm trying to get the likes into like the 40s and 50s on these videos if I can. I appreciate it either way. Mets still Cano. Yeah, man. Cano's just wasted money, man. Wasted money. It's but I still think the Mets will bring in an infielder because Cole might release him. Cano. If they adopt the DH internationally, maybe they'll just plug him at DH and keep him out of the out of the field, and hopefully he'll produce something with his bat. But he got to stop failing steroid tests, man. Like, what the frick are you doing? Sandy Jr. will be the GM, probably. Yeah, I think the Red Sox will have a big offseason. I think Toronto will have the biggest in the American League East, but the Yankees have a chance to, beat all these guys. And, but again, they got to do it. So, Gardner's, he's not a starter anymore. He doesn't have any arm at all. So, he's not the right guy for center field. Like, no way. But the Yankees have a lot of holes and issues that they need to upgrade at. So I expect them to do some things. And again, like I said, too, this is a multiple offseason thing. They can't address everything this offseason. You really can't. and it's going to take multiple off seasons. Miguel, I'm with you 100%, brother. You need to try to extend him now because, again, this is the only time that they could extract value for him if he decides. If he says no, I mean, if you say no to $210 million, I would do 6 years, 210, which is 35 per year, and that's it. No options after that, nothing. 6 years, 210, which he'll likely turn down, but that's a good offer for somebody who's 31 years old. And if let somebody else give him $300 million. So, and that they can use that money to get a bunch of different players here at the Yankees. So, yeah, exactly. I mean, if he somehow moves on, I don't see it happening, but if he somehow moves on, and they have an additional $18 million to play with, so and that can make a significant difference, really. Nathan Swanson, did Swanson just do something, Nathan? The Braves coming back here on the Astros? Last time I looked, it was 2-0 Astros. So if they trade Judge this offseason, they should sign Seager or Correa. If they trade Judge, I would replace him with Starling Marte. And still sign. I would still try to trade for Olsen and then still bring in a shortstop. Probably Trevor Story. Marte, Story, and Olsen would be a ridiculous upgrade for that lineup. Ridiculous. Gerald, yeah, I'm with you. I don't think that's their plan either. I really don't. I think they tend to re-sign him long term. And I think it would be stupid for them to match a $275 or $300 million offer. Because this last tie game homer, God, what inning is it, Nathan? Awesome. If somebody gives him $300 million, I don't think the Yankees should, because they're going to be paying for a lot of decline years. And again, what's that going to mean? That just makes it harder for them in the second half of his contract to help them win World Series and other things. It makes it harder. It really does. So, Yankees trade with Texas. I don't even know. Nate Lowe is possible, but the first person I would call would be the A's GM and say, look, we want these guys, this guy, and this guy. What do you want from us? Can we make a trade happen here? And pull off the biggest blockbuster in years, bigger than Trey Turner and Max Scherzer, bigger than that. Pull out a monster. The Yankees have the capability to do it. They've done it before. I wouldn't trade him for. I don't think they would trade him for Olsen, Miguel. I don't think that, because the A's are not going to pay him either. So, and then he'll just walk, and they will have given up, Olsen and stuff like that. He's got to go to a team that has a big time farm that has the resources to pay him. The A's have the resources, but they just don't pay. They just don't pay their guys, unfortunately. So I don't see them as an option, unfortunately. But trade for Olsen, sign Correa or Seager, and then get Starling Marte. If you got all three of those guys, it would be insane. It really would. It really would. 3-2. What, did Soler just hit a home run too? Oh my God. Back-to-back, Swanson and Soler. Good Lord. Soler's just increasing his value this offseason. Increasing his value. Owners and GMs understand by now that they're going to eat the back half of it. Yeah, they do, Gerald. I don't like starting players with a monster contract at 31 years old. You got to get, at this point, think about it this way too. Like, we already have had 5 prime years from Judge. If he signs another 8-year deal, we might get 2 or 3 more prime years. And then you're going to just pay for 5, decline years? That's awful. Awful, awful, awful. Hey, Laurie, how are you? Eddie Rosario is another one. There's another one. He can have value too. 2-1 Astros, Craig. I'm hearing that it's 3-2. I meant if Judge is traded to another team, then we need to make a trade for Olsen. I think we need to make a trade for Olsen, even if we keep Judge, Miguel. Personally, I think Olsen's got to be. They have to find a way to get Olsen here. They really do. makes it more palatable to move on from Rizzo and obviously Voit too. But they have a lot of things they need to do. They need to clear several roster spots to protect some guys from the Rule 5 draft, and that has to be done in the second week in November. So they have a lot of things they have to do in the next couple of weeks. They really do. So and that's what he did the entire back half of yeah. I mean, if he's there for 10 years, but he came in when he was 26 too. So think about it. When he turns 31, half that contract will be eaten already. So we're paying for his 31 to 36 years at the end of his contract. We're paying 31 to 36 at the beginning of Judge's contract. That can be a disaster. So it's a huge difference when you give somebody 10 years at 26 as opposed to giving them 8 or 10 at 31. That's what my big fear is. I think they will go large. It would make sense. Why would he go creative at trade deadline to get to 20% and then bad PR? Yeah, that's what I mean. They did all this work, Timothy, to get under the threshold, and they got to take advantage of it now at this low penalty. They have to. They'd be fools to not do it. It's, yeah, man, 3-2 Braves. Let's go. If the Braves win today, then there's a good chance they could win tomorrow and close it out at home in Atlanta. That would be really cool. I would love to see that. I would do 8-year contracts too. It's your boy. Like, I wouldn't do it at 31 years old. I would do it at 20, 27, 28. It's a big difference, but not at 31. 31 is just pushing it, man. It's really pushing it. Could be very realistic if a major starting pitcher is signed. Martinos. Yeah, it could be. I mean, Marte, if you can get him on a 4-year deal, you know, that's a great deal. And I think at this point he's 32 or 33, but he's still super freakish athletic. 4-year deal will be fine. If you can get Story on a 4-year deal, that's a good one too. I'd rather give Story 4 or 5 years than, Correa 10. Dansby, tie game 2, solo home. Yeah, man. Yeah, and then Jorge Soler, baby, back to back. That's awesome. Let's see who's playing this side. Corey Seager. I don't know, Nathan. I mean, he might and stay at second because they have Trey Turner now, but they're going to have to pay Trey Turner after next year, and he's going to cost a shit ton of money. Trey Turner. No, he's going to cost a lot. A lot. No. I don't think Correa stays in Houston either. No. At the end of the day, I think he'll be moved. Somebody's going to pony up $300 million for him. I don't see him not getting $300 million, but I also see him being the only guy to get $300 million. If they got Robbie Ray, Trevor Story, and Marcus Semien, that'd be a pretty big offseason. Yeah, I wouldn't be offended at that. I really wouldn't. Yeah, exactly. It's your boy. I would do the same, 5 or 6 year for a 31. But there's no way Judge is getting 6 years. He's going to get more than that, especially if he has a good year and stays healthy for the most part. Seager. I see Correa. I see Correa pretty much gone. But if they re-sign him, then they'll be maintaining that nucleus there. Brandon Crawford, shortstop, if they miss out. At this point, probably not. I think he's going to stay with San Francisco. I don't think they're going to miss out on all 5 of those guys. I really don't, Lorenzo. But, Crawford's an appealing option, but at the end of the day, I do think he stays in San Francisco. I don't know, man. If they sign Robbie Ray only, yeah, they'd be lucky to get wild card. They need to do more than just Robbie Ray. They need to do more than that. So the Yankees need to make a couple of significant trades or a couple of significant moves, I should say, this offseason. Whether it be trade and free agency, whatever it is, they need to make a few significant moves. 100%. So prospect capital for Olsen. Yeah, there's nobody is going to get Olsen without giving up prospect capital. He's the best first baseman in baseball. There's no way you can get him without giving up prospects. And Marte's a free agent, so you can get him, but he doesn't play first base. If Story would be willing to do 2 years, I would be all over it. All over it. I mean, Hader, if they acquired him in a trade, I'd be happy. Rodon. I'd be fine with Rodon too. So Rodon or Ray, I'd be fine with. Stanton and Judge are both injury prone. By the time Judge is 3 to 4 years into that contract, he'll need to be DH. Exactly. And he's going to be blocked by Stanton for the most part. Because at that point, Stanton's going to need to be DH more. Now we're going to have 2 very expensive DH guys. That's the other thing. That's the other downfall. But again, Stanton has 6 more years. And people are wanting to move him all the time. But he's, the Yankees are paying like 120 or 130 million for 6 years. Judge is going to get twice that. Twice that. No. The 130 million. I don't see him getting under. There's no way I see him getting under 200, but I see him getting closer to 250. Judge. So, Ottavino. I think Ottavino might move on somewhere. Edward. No, I have Erod moving to Texas in my free agent predictions, Nathan. So, I see him being moved. But I still have Boston, being aggressive this offseason. Either way. Yeah, me too, Miguel. I want the Yankees to be the first team to make a significant move. No doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. I like Mango. Now Vladdy is? What does that mean? Vladdy Jr., he's a beast. He's a beast. Absolute beast. But Olsen, to me, is a better first baseman than Vladdy. Olsen's an elite defender. And I don't mean overall, but his stats. Vladdy's definitely a power hitter and stuff like that. And he's been one of the best young players in the game, but he's not a better first baseman than Matt Olsen. Olsen's elite with the glove. Big time. Vladdy's not there yet. But he's definitely an elite talent, that's for sure. He's, him and Juan Soto are going to be paid in the next couple of years. Absolutely paid. Franchise. No doubt about it, man. Go put your daughter to sleep. We'll be wrapping up shortly anyway. So, I appreciate you guys coming on as always. I'll continue. I'm going to keep doing 2 live streams, one like Wednesday and one Saturday if that works for everybody. We have a lot of stuff to go over too. We really do. Especially we have, the rest of the World Series, and I'm hoping that the Braves pull it out. And we're working our way towards the winter meetings and the CBA. There's going to be a lot of activity, and then into free agency. So boatloads of stuff coming. I'll keep, and every time it's a big signing or a trade, I'll be putting out a video to update everybody. So the worst free agent on the market, oh my God, probably Andrew Heaney. Probably Nathan, Andrew Heaney. Vlad, yeah. I get it, Jeffrey, yeah. Yeah, I want the Braves, Laurie, just to beat the Astros. Timothy, infield, bullpen, starting pitching, dressing, everything at once. That's fine. Was getting it, you can't tell me. With first base, Rizzo. Torres at second, DJ at third, shortstop Story, left field Gallo, center field Marte, right field Judge. And then I'm assuming Stanton, you have DH, right? Yeah, there you go. Could be. But to me, Olsen's a significant upgrade over Rizzo at first base. Plus, he's 5 years younger. There is no way. If I can get Olsen, there's no way. And I like Rizzo, but there's no way in the world I'm paying Rizzo $80 million or whatever it is and passing on Matt Olsen, even if I have to give up Oswald Peraza. No way. And we already know they're going to ask for Volpe. They're going to ask for Dominguez, but they're not going to get him. Just like Cashman asked for teams number 1 and number 2 prospects in trades. Just GMs do that. Why not? I mean, that's what they do. So Brad Hand is possible, but, I'd like Josh Hader over Brad Hand. But Yankees have a couple of left-handed, pitchers coming up to their farm that I would definitely keep an eye on. So Cole, Rodon, Taillon, Nestor, Monty. Well, Taillon's not going to be here until at least May, potentially June, because he just had ankle surgery 2 days ago. And so I wouldn't even include him in that yet, Timothy. DJ can play third at least to Gleyber. Yeah, I mean he's going to have to unless he plays first base. And if the Yankees move on from Voit and Rizzo, then I could see Gio at first base and Gio at third while DJ's playing first. But they might move Gio. They might. In which case they would need probably DJ to play third. I do think Rizzo goes to Boston, but if the Yankees re-sign him, he's already said he would like to re-sign, but if they do, then they do. And then obviously they won't be getting Matt Olson, but it is what it is. I just hope Rizzo stays healthy. But at the end of the day, we still need more speed and athleticism and contact hitting. So no matter what they do at first base, they still need more of that stuff. They need more clutch hitting, just more, fire and more energy on this team. So, no, you make sense, Timothy. Your idea makes sense. DJ first, second base Torres, third base Gio, Peraza short, Stanton left, Hicks center, right field Judge, DH Voit. Gerald, that's possible, but that's, I do think the Yankees will make some type of moves. And in this situation, if that's the case, Gerald, then the Yankees better be investing in pitching quite a bit. Quite a bit. Bullpen, Loizaga, Green, Hader, Chapman, etc. I'd be fine with that. And you got Clay Holmes, too. You've got a couple other guys. I mean, they got good infield depth. But I know what you mean, Timothy. No doubt about it. Across the board, yeah, they need a good balance across the board. I'm with you 100% there, man. I mean, I'm going to hold a reservation on DJ because he was injured all year. He had surgery, and he's on his way back to recovering. So I think a healthy DJ would be a better DJ in 2022. So, and I hope that he does that. I hope that he, comes back healthy and plays well. He's got 5 more years in his contract, so. K is pushing Peraza. Yeah, I mean, but if they do that, then, they better invest elsewhere. Like in a monster trade with Oakland or in a monster trade with Oakland and starting pitching and somewhere else too. But if Peraza is where they're going, then I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I think he'll have a chance in spring training, just like Greg Gallo will have a chance. They're going to have to win these jobs out. No doubt about it. Yeah, I think Andrew Heaney is worse than Brad Hand is the worst free agent, Gerald. Hand's not as bad as Heaney. Heaney was a nightmare. Heaney was a nightmare. Yeah, I'm curious to see who comes off the board first, Jeffrey. It's probably my guess. It'll probably be Javi Baez and some of these other guys, but we'll see. Caprillion, he was a former Yankee prospect, but if I'm going after anybody, I'm going after Manea or Montez if possible. But Hand was pretty bad, but Heaney was just a disaster. I mean, those are probably the 2 worst, Hand and Heaney. H&H. Oh. But he was pretty bad. He was pretty bad. But let me let you guys go. I'm going to wrap it up so we can go enjoy, hopefully watch the Braves close this game out. He won't have to empty the farm for Olsen, Timothy. He won't have to. He can give him a major league. He can give him, major league players and minor league players. So he won't have to empty the farm for Matt Olson. Olsen alone. Olsen and Sean Murphy, Olsen, other guys, that's a bit of a different story. But it'll be a hefty prospect. It'll be a hefty trade in either way. But yeah, enjoy the night, everybody. Good night to you too, Lori. Ask Timothy Cochran to get off the No, it's all good, Craig. I mean, I get where he's coming from. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. It's cool, man. I think Rizzo goes with Boston, but again, I could be wrong. So, but have a great night, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. My next video will be out Monday morning. Thank you, as always, for your support and coming on here. I got a lot more stuff coming, so you're not going to want to miss it. So if you haven't subscribed, do that right now before you leave and hit that notification so you don't miss anything. Okay, guys. Talk to you soon.